Well, before we wrap up, I want to like the Craig Wright thing. Whenever something like that pops up, my question is this like a deliberate distraction? It feels very deliberate distraction to me. It feels very like anytime there's some crazy story like this, it feels like either it's trying to attack Bitcoin or it's just one of the typical ruling elites put, every time there's some big story that everyone's like going nuts over, I'm like, what list of Epstein pals is being hidden? Like, that's my first question.
No, I think it's just, Australians are kind of like those snake oil salesmen, right, of the South. It's like a Florida man sort of situation. It's just a really, really ill-conceived con that went a little bit too far, right? That it accidentally got too big and was taken too seriously by too many people for too long. And I think, Craig Wright probably just conned this guy, Calvin Ayre, and Calvin Ayre kept pushing him into these media interviews and onto the court, onto the stand in court. And Craig Wright is just too stupid, right? Like he didn't know how to back himself out of this lie. And I mean, that's classic, right? A lie, you spin this huge web and he's on the stand. And it was quite humiliating, right? It wasn't even, there was no sense at all. Like he wasn't even remotely Satoshi Nakamoto. And that's why Judge Mellor in the case in the UK, he was immediately like, apparently it was extraordinarily rare for a judge to rule from the bench like this, to just say, okay, I'm going to go write my opinion and it's going to take me a while. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I will tell you this guy is not Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah.
You're like, you could see.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, the court. Yeah. It's like he got rid of he rug pulled the cliffhanger. It was like, by the way, this guy's not Satoshi Nakamoto, and the lawyers, like the prosecutor, the COPA lawyers, like they were all shocked. They were like, oh my God, like, wow, we weren't expecting this. Like, I mean, it was so obvious he had to say that, right? Because it's a joke, but it is like a Dumb and Dumber or, one of these Steve Martin sort of comedy where he's playing a scoundrel, dirty, rotten scoundrel or something like that. So it's just really absurd. It's surrealist comedy. And the surreal thing about it is that it was so obvious, as transparent as our holdings, right? You could see it on the blockchain. Everybody could see that the guy was not Satoshi Nakamoto for the longest time. And yet for some reason, like people in the media or judges or the court system kept taking it seriously and entertaining this guy's delusions.
Well, it goes back to the hard fork days of 2017. Okay, so the fork wars. And during the fork wars, you had two people emerge from that, Roger Ver, Craig Wright. And their argument was that the white paper, it says Bitcoin is a cash. It's cash. It's not a store of value. It's cash. It's for payments. And so they hard forked. They created Bitcoin Cash. They created Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. And so, so now, 8 years later, Michael Saylor, just this past week, said that I'm not going to spend a part of the building I own in Manhattan to buy a cup of coffee. Right? It's not cash. It's not payments. It's primarily a store of value. As a store of value, it's worth 100 trillion. As a payments rail, it's worth 1 trillion. Right? It took from 2017 to today 7 years, 7.5 years to sort this all out. It's fitting that the Craig Wright saga ended on this moment when finally people understand that the word cash, as it was written by Satoshi, he means money, not fiat money. And Satoshi himself said, I know how to program. I'm not great at writing actual words. And I wrote the white paper after I wrote the protocol, the software. And so you can't rely on the written word of the white paper. You have to look at the code. And the code says it's a store of value. It's not a medium of exchange like Ver and Wright built their whole post-2017 world upon. In the case of Craig Wright, there's a guy, Calvin Ayre, who is the puppet master behind Craig Wright. And he just quit Twitter today or yesterday. because the game is over. The con has been revealed. So he's off. He's checked out. There's no more lemon juice to squeeze from this lemon. In the case of Calvin, my contention has always been that he's like a Lee Harvey Oswald. He is a patsy. He never even really knew himself what was going on. This guy, Calvin Ayre, found a perfect idiot savant who's almost all idiot and no savant, right? Who would go in front of groups of people and say that he is Satoshi and that this fucking piece of shit is the real Bitcoin, and do it with a straight face. You can't do that and it's beyond just being a good actor. You have to be mentally disturbed, of which clearly this guy is, right? And so Calvin found the perfect patsy for his scam. And the only thing keeping that coin going was wash trading, epic amounts of wash trading. He's trading with himself to keep their look like there's some action there. There's no action there. And so actually, what'll be interesting is that Calvin Wright has now been referred for criminal prosecution. He may actually go to jail, like a Sam Bankman-Fried type, and he's criminally insane. If somebody else, like let's say the CIA or the FBI caught Calvin Wright at the right time, they could have turned him into one of these guys who commits a massive crime, and then they blame terrorists on them. That the FBI likes to set people up in these terrorist things, right? He could have been one of those guys. But instead, Calvin Ayre found him and turned him into this patsy for some incredible scam called BSV. And
it's it's like another Steve Martin film is Bowfinger.
Yeah,
It's like the Eddie Murphy's brother character. He's like, go do this. And he's like, run across the highway in the traffic. And he's like, okay, and runs across the traffic. And so he did the equivalent of running out across, the 405 freeway in Los Angeles. That's him on the stand.
Yeah. I think it's a testament to how kind of gullible and dumb the media, and shows you how much the media doesn't understand. Because if you understand Bitcoin, even on a cursory level, you know that it was created by a person or person who are highly intelligent.
Yeah.
So then to have this guy be like, oh, I'm Satoshi, you're like, there's no way.
I was on this show. What's the guy's name? Bet Davis. He's this real smoothie in Florida.
Yeah.
Patrick Bet Davis.
Yeah, Patrick Bet Davis.
I was on a show like 4 or 5 years ago. And at that, Bitcoin was like 8,000 or something. And so he's obsessed about Craig Wright. He's like, well, what about Craig Wright? He says he's Satoshi. I'm like, you asked me that because I'm an expert. I'm telling you as an expert, he's not Satoshi, and don't even talk about it. It's a waste of time. Look at this thing at 8,000. Of course, he would have none of it. Then when it was at 40, 50, 60,000, he's got Michael Saylor on. And he's like, oh, I get it. It's really great because oh, well, he fucked that up. Patrick Bet Davis, look at that interview I did with him. It's like, I'm struggling to dude.
Yeah, but
wake the fuck up.
But one thing I have to say is, importantly, I hope he is referred for criminal prosecution because they did terrorize Peter McCormack and Hodl Knott. So they did cause genuine harm. It wasn't, on the one hand, we are making fun of him and saying it's like wacky and funny and he'll have his comeuppance, but that justice must be served. It
brings up another point, which is that only the people living in those areas, like in the UK and in Europe, were vulnerable to a legal system that allowed this freak to go after them for libel. Nobody in the US, I said the same thing these people said about him at the time, but he couldn't come after me because First Amendment protects me. They don't have it the UK, here's a factoid, which your listeners will be shocked to find out, that in the UK, there is no codified, written down constitution.
Really?
They have a bunch of the documents that they refer to and interpret the law on the fly continuously. There is no actual written codified constitution in the United Kingdom. And their legal system is something that, depending on who's suing who, can be changed on the fly as well.
The most important thing is the burden of proof in the cases in the UK are a lot different, especially with libel. The burden of proof. If I say you've libeled me and I take you to court for libeling me, you have to prove you didn't libel me. In the United States, obviously, I would have to prove you libeled me. So it's a different standard. But yeah, so hopefully justice will be served. And nevertheless, we're Bitcoin country. We've proven we're Bitcoin country. We continue to astound the world. And in a way, it's good that we're nonstop. Everybody underestimates us because we over deliver.
That's how you win.
Yeah.
That's how you win in any sport. That's how you win in anything. When people underestimate you, and once you realize, oh, they underestimate me. Oh, they think then you have a tactical advantage. I don't care what it is, tennis, sports, business. I don't care what it is. When somebody underestimates you, you have a tactical advantage because they are not going to do their proper It's like I watch a lot of sports. You scout the other team, you check them repeatedly. But if they think this team's small and easy, they don't scout you. Yeah. And then they don't realize that, I'll use basketball as an example, that you've got they're like, they're too short. Yeah. Well, all of our guys shoot 60% from the 3-point line. Like this is a tactical advantage, and Bukele knows this. He knows he's got this little country that has crypto. I mean, he's got it. He's got superhuman strength here. It's like he knows everyone's looking at him like he's Clark Kent, and he's like, nope, I'm Superman, and he's crushing people. It's amazing.
It's nonstop. It's like the media is constantly like Peter Schiff, and he is like Bitcoin, right? Like it's like they keep walking straight into his sledgehammer of awesome, right? They just constantly say things that are about to be disproven, and everybody knows. I
like Peter Schiff's argument. He said, I may have been too stupid to buy Bitcoin at $10, but the fact is that if I had bought it, I'm stupid enough to have sold it at $11. That was his argument. He said, I'm so stupid that I would have sold it anyway. So it's actually better that I didn't ever buy it. Because I would have had the pain of having sold it because I'm not stupid. I'm not just stupid, I'm very stupid. That's his argument.
That's like, you think I'm stupid? I'm more stupid than you think I am.
Exactly.
So there.
That's his tactical disadvantage. He's a lot stupider than people actually think he is. It hurts him every time. He's the worst performing money manager of the past 50 years.
And that's the other thing. Part of what comes with the underestimating is stupidity and hubris. That's the arrogance. Yes. That's when it's like, well, we're the big blah, blah, blah. We're going to be every underdog story. The person, team, whatever that they defeat always is sitting on a throne like, what do you know?
Yeah, but they keep on underestimating when the guys won 10 Olympic gold medals.
Yeah, I know.
He keeps on winning the gold medal. And you're like, the guy keeps winning. Like, why do you keep setting yourself up to be humiliated? He's going to win. I don't understand that. It's like if they had been saying it about Tom Brady or Michael Jordan, when they were at the top of their game, you're like, you don't bet against that guy, right? Don't say it. Don't do it.
Yeah. Well, as you say, it's a tactical advantage, and they're exploiting that.